Today's gossip is about the ozone layer. And the story goes back to 1980s when the scientists have discovered a hole in the ozone layer, the layer that protects us from the most harmful radiations from the sun. And the cause of the problem was the chemicals that was being used inside our everyday stuff like our hairspray or inside equipments like fridge and air conditioning. The good news story here is that the world came together quite soon and listened to the science. And in 1987, countries have signed the Montreal Protocol, which is an international agreement that agrees to phase out these dangerous chemicals. And guess what? It worked. 99% of those chemicals have been phased out, and the ozone layer is on track to heal by mid century. That's why a day like today, the Ozone Day, feels like a birthday celebration. We are marking a very important environmental win. And it's a proof that when the world comes together united, we can solve the most complicated problems. But the gossip isn't over here. Now, new troublemakers like HFCs are still in the picture and they're causing us many problems. So, today we'll talk about what's been fixed and what are the tricky things out there that we still need to act on. I'm Ava and I'm happy to share my gossip moment with you.
Hey, Ava. So exciting to hear about something that worked. I'm really looking forward to today and to our discussions and also to hearing a little bit of gossip. But the one thing I want to clear up is just about this ozone layer. So sometimes I hear about ozone in a positive context, and sometimes I hear about it in the negative context. And I also hear about different kinds of ozone. And sometimes I feel like I'm kind of in the twilight zone. So I just want to break it down. So today we're talking about stratospheric ozone. So that's ozone very high in the sky. Then we have tropospheric ozone. This is the layer that's living on the land that's actually also smog. This is the bad ozone. We don't want tropospheric ozone, but we do want stratospheric ozone. So that's one thing. So I'm Sandra, and I'm looking forward to continuing the conversation. And here we are in episode 2, really diving into the details to celebrate Ozone Day. Over to you, Ava.
Thanks for the clarification, Sandra. And we are very excited today to share our gossip moment with Ana Maria. She's our friend and colleague who is an international law and policy advisor on environmental protection and sustainable development. She knows all the gossips on climate change and the protection of the ozone layer. So, Ana Maria, welcome to our gossip moment, and we would love to hear from you some gossips about the history.
Hi, Eva. Hey, Sandra. Oh my gosh, I'm so thrilled that you invited me to come and gossip with you today because this is one of my favorite gossip topics. I love it, the Montreal Protocol, and its mom, the Vienna Convention, which kind of gave birth to the protocol and said, "Let's solve this problem," and we did. The protocol has the ozone layer basically like re-knitting that hole that was up there because of these evil gases that some of our human industries put into the atmosphere were creating this hole. What were those gases? Well, originally they were called CFCs, chlorofluorocarbons, sometimes referred to as freon. You might know of it, and they were in hairspray. They were in canisters. They were in refrigerators. They were in air conditioners. They were in some other stuff as well, and those no longer exist.
How did that happen? How could the protocol stop these gases?
As the protocol said, we got to stop this. And the experts, like chemical companies and industries, they put their heads together and created an alternative. They came up with what was then called HCFCs, hydrochlorofluorocarbons. Say that 10 times fast. And and the HCFCs, they were better for the ozone. Like they really only affected it a little bit and gave it time to start healing. But around that time, countries and scientists were realizing, ooh, These gases, the CFCs, even the HCFCs, are really, really bad for climate change. And the gossip is that they came up with HFCs, hydrofluorocarbons. Now, the amazing thing about HFCs, and tell me if this is not amazing, they do not harm the ozone layer, not one teeny tiny bit. Like, they're kind of perfect if we're looking just at the ozone layer. But, and this is the real dirt, they are bad for the climate. They're really bad for the climate. They're also powerful greenhouse gases. So the Montreal Protocol countries got together and they said, we need another solution, right? What they did was they created something called the Kigali Amendment. They needed an amendment for this new solution to get rid of HFCs.
It's also interesting now that we see that the agreement has really turned into not only an ozone, protecting the ozone agreement, but it's also a climate agreement. So it's like a kind of a one atmosphere agreement.
I know the partners of the CCAC, the Climate and Clean Air Coalition, have also worked to get an agreement to pass the Kigali Amendment. I'm also thinking of energy efficiency and how Kigali Amendment is helping in that sense.
When the countries came up with the Kigali Amendment, they also said, every time we change from an old gas system, like bad gas system, to a new one, every time we've done these transitions and new equipment goes out into the world, that equipment is more energy efficient. So our refrigerators, our air conditioners, whatever, these different things that we use that have these gases in them. And so if we were to make that more intentional, we could do even better. Over the last 10 years, every single year when they get together, they're like, what can we do to be more energy efficient? And what's really cool about that too, let's gossip for a second on that, is that you and I, we have a lot of this equipment in our daily lives, right? I have a refrigerator at home, and if that refrigerator is not efficient, my energy bill is really expensive, right? And we go to the grocery store, and and if the grocery is using a lot of energy, they're going to up the prices of our food, right? And so there's a lot of ways in our daily life that it's important that there be that energy efficiency be a part of it.
Yeah, what a practical question. What can we do to become more energy efficient? And at the CCAC, I know we've been working on Lifecycle Refrigerant Management, or LRM, and I'm wondering if you can give us a little bit more detail on that.
Basically what it says is, let's look at the big picture. When the Montreal Protocol was born, when it was a little baby treaty, it was only looking at the production of these gases, and the consumption of these gases. That's all that it controlled. But once those things were out in the world, in our refrigerators, in our cars, in our grocery stores, then the assumption was, well, we've solved enough of the issue that we'll save the ozone layer. But now the countries and the experts are saying, there's all this gas that's out there, like stored in this equipment that is being used, or maybe it's already in dump sites. What do we do about that? Like, let's go above and beyond and see if we can salvage some of those gases and keep using them so that we don't have to create new gas. If we can recycle it, we can reclaim it, we can reuse it, we can recycle it. And then eventually, when it's no longer usable, then we destroy it.
Thank you so much for those insights, Ana Maria, into lifecycle refrigerant management. It's also making me think about other work that we do to promote energy efficiency at the CCAC, in this case, in anti-dumping of inefficient cooling appliances in developing countries. Could you share a little bit more your perspectives on that?
Some countries have really strong rules and regulations about what they can produce in terms of gases and in terms of energy efficiency of equipment, and then what they can sell within the boundaries of their country. Some companies have older equipment. It might be new, but they can't sell it in the country anymore. And sometimes that older equipment is used. And so those companies have said, oh, well, we don't want to just throw this away. We can sell it to other countries. And in this case, what it also does is it imports inefficiency, so higher energy costs. And I even hear sometimes people saying, oh, this is importing poverty into our country, because our people are going to have to buy refrigerators and things that use a lot of energy, and that's not really fair, right? It's how do we ensure that the exporting countries, those who produce this equipment, and the importing countries are working together and sharing the responsibility to find a solution, so that there isn't this bad impact on developing countries. That's it in a nutshell.
Thank you so much, Ana Maria, for sharing your insights and gossip with us. It is really inspiring to see this global teamwork to protect the ozone layer and climate. The key takeaway is energy efficiency and HFC alternatives are very important and we need to invest in them. In terms of statistics, HFCs are about 2% of global greenhouse gases right now, and they have large impact on global warming, and they're hundreds to thousands of times stronger than CO2 per mass unit. In our daily life, with the global warming and the heat that we are experiencing, we need more air conditioning and we need to get cool. So, HFC usage is growing fast, 10% every year, and it increases as the weather gets hotter every year. And our call to action is that we need sustainable cooling. Thank you for listening to us. Tune in to our next episode.
That's right, Ava. We all have a role in making the world a better place. Thank you so much for having me and for gossiping with me today. Anytime you want, I'm here. I'm your gossip girl.